The Canadian-Iranian Formula One driver Nicholas Latifi will be leaving Williams Racing at the end of this season. The company confirms that his contract will not be extended at the end of the season, so the 27-year-old driver can play his trade elsewhere. Do you wonder why Nicholas Latifi is not getting an extension? Who would replace him at Williams Racing? Join us as we discuss why Williams let Nicholas Latifi go. Well, questions started arising about the Canadian's contract within the first half of the 2022 season, as he became the only driver that hadn't scored points by the time summer break arrived. This is his third year with the team, by the way. But not long after, on the 3rd of August, news broke that Alex Albon, the more successful Williams racer, signed a multi-year extension with the team. So far, the Canadian has been handed 55 starts at the highest level of motor racing, but has only been able to score an abysmal 7 points to date. On September 11, 2022 at the Italian Grand Prix, Nicholas Latifi finished 15th, earning no points in another barren race for the Canadian, one that he has had too many. In the preceding Dutch Grand Prix, Latifi finished 18th, holding down the position from the Belgian Grand Prix. Unfortunately for the 27-year-old top driver, it had been another season to forget. This became all too obvious when fans realized he was the only driver not to score a single point in his first 16 starts in 2022. So news of Latifi parting ways with Williams Racing has drawn more attention to his poor form on the track in his time with the team, leading to trolling and insults all over social media. Why did Latifi perform so badly with Williams Racing? Was it that he was not yet good enough to sign for a Formula One team? What went wrong exactly? Latifi earned his position in F1 like any other hotshot on the track. He entered the F1 grid in 2020 with a sizable amount of testing under his belt, both conducted privately and in official sessions. In fact, he proved in F2 that he had the pace to make the step up. He was coming in as a marquee signing on the back of a disastrous season that Williams had the previous year. The team was looking forward to relegating the failures on the track to the past and hope for a more successful era as they give a more competitive challenge in the top tier of motor racing. This proved to be a whole lot on the inexperienced shoulders of F1 new boy Nicholas Latifi. It was so because Williams Racing were far behind top brass in terms of innovation and ability to attract the level of talent, so it was always going to be hard for the Canadian racer to make an impact. Did we skip the pandemic? Also consider that the season was complicated by the lockdowns, restrictions, and postponements. Its debut was delayed until July. That was bad enough. It became worse for him that he had to contend with the track prodigy, George Russell, at the other end of the garage. It was not the easiest starting point he could have asked for. It was not until last year that Latifi had the first of his breakthroughs, as Williams started to find more performance, latching back onto the rear of the midfield. Latifi made the most of the topsy-turvy race in Hungary and snatched his first F1 points with 7th. This was Williams' first score for more than 2 years. When we look back, it might be Russell's tears that first come to mind, but note that the Canadian-Iranian played a major role in the success. Another point followed at Spa when the rain came and cut proceedings short, giving him 9th after a solid qualifying on Saturday. This was all before Abu Dhabi. The Canadian will always be remembered for his role in the dramatic championship finale at Yas Marina. It was his crash in the closing laps that caused a safety car to set up the final lap showdown between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton for the title. This development came following some controversial decisions made by former race director Michael Massey. Since then, Latifi has received storms of abuse and insults from many fans. He was even stamped with mock praise as Goatifi for his unintentional role in deciding the outcome. The impact of the finale on the entire 2021 season of F1 as a whole is well known, and unfortunately, Latifi played an infamous role, one any elite athlete would hope fans will forget, but things would only get worse. The 27-year-old driver found himself subjected to bizarre accusations, abuse, and even death threats. As you would expect, he feared for his own safety. As a professional, Latifi may have worked to try and move on from Abu Dhabi, but that is easier said than done. It would have a big mental impact on anyone, no matter how strong they may have become in their training as an elite athlete. In a recent interview on the High Performance podcast, Williams F1 boss Jos Capito said he thought the effects of Abu Dhabi had impacted Latifi's early season form. "It was extremely hard," said Capito. "Anyone who didn't go through this has no idea how this feels. Even if you switch off your social media, you're in contact with other people who still see it. You know it's going on, and you just can't get away. I'm sure it affected his driving after that. I'm convinced about this. I can understand that, and this is why we gave him the confidence and supported him all the season. Latifi's struggle for form compared to his teammates continued even when Russell was replaced by Alex Albon. He was left baffled by the car, venting his frustration after Canada in his words that there, quote, wasn't really anything enjoyable, end quote, about his race on track. This prompted a chassis change at Silverstone that gave him the comfort he previously lacked, and he hoped Williams would judge him from then on. But there was a fatal twist. Nick de Vries reached the points of Monza as a late stand-in. This seemed to be the final nail in the coffin for Latifi's hopes of staying for 2023. Latifi said, "I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone at Williams Racing, all the people back at the factory and those I work with trackside, for the last 3 years. My initial F1 debut was postponed due to the pandemic, but we eventually got going in Austria. And although we have not achieved the results together we hoped we would, it's still been a fantastic journey. Getting those first points in Hungary last year was a moment I'll never forget, and I will move on to the next chapter of my career with special memories of my time with this dedicated team. I know none of us will stop putting in every effort until the end of the season. So Nicholas Latifi will have an opportunity to avenge himself at Abu Dhabi with Williams Racing before leaving to ply his trade elsewhere with better luck. Who then would replace him at Williams Racing? A strong candidate is a Formula 2 rising star, Logan Sargent. The Whiz Kid is part of the Williams stable of young drivers. He had an outing for the team at the postseason Abu Dhabi test last year. He took part in FP1 in his home weekend, Austin. The team principal, Capito, has been quite vocal on the incredible talent of the rising star. He said, "He will be in a Formula One car in the future. I'm absolutely convinced. Of course, we are impressed. You know, it's his first season in F2. We didn't put any pressure on him. He has the time to develop, and he's really impressed us with how fast he has got to grips with the car." Sargent drove F1 machinery last year. Getting a run in the FW43B in Abu Dhabi, Sargent has scored 2 wins in F2 already, both in July, and lies third in the championship with 4 rounds remaining. He'll need to finish in the top 5 in order to have enough super license points to graduate to Formula One, if, more like when, a seat becomes available. Isn't that perfect timing? But the most likely option to fill in for Nicholas Latifi is Nick de Vries. De Vries started the Italian Grand Prix weekend with an FP1 appearance for Aston Martin, but was drafted in at rival team Williams when Albon came down with appendicitis ahead of Saturday's track action. Despite having no mileage in the FW44 at Monza, De Vries progressed to QT while Latifi dropped out. De Vries went ahead to convert his 8th place grid spot into a 9th place finish, which gave Williams 2 crucial points. De Vries got the opportunity to race and started in the top 10. Executed a good race and scored points in his debut, all while being in a car he has no mileage in. This earned him the Driver of the Day acknowledgement. It isn't clear what the future holds for Latifi outside Williams Racing. But Williams CEO and team principal Jose Capito gave a heartfelt goodbye statement, saying, "On behalf of the whole team, I would like to say an enormous thank you to Nicholas for his 3 years of hard work with Williams. He is a great team player who has a great attitude towards his colleagues and work, and is well liked and respected throughout the business. Our time together is now coming to an end, but I know he will put full effort in to maximize what we can do together for the remainder of this season. We wish him all the best of luck for his future, both in and out of the cockpit." The focus now will be for Latifi to enjoy the final few races with Williams, bulk up his minutes of racing at this level of competition, and if he is still chasing some kind of mental reset, boost his morale and restore his confidence.